I'm Linda van Tilburg for Biznews. A company that promotes itself as a better way for travellers to stay is Totalstay. It's the company that brought the idea of Aparthotels to South Africa. And joining me today in the Biznews studio is the co-founder and CEO of Totalstay, Rael Phillips. Hi, Rael. How are you?
Hi, Linda. Well, thanks. How are you?
Well, thank you. So, Aparthotels, what exactly is that?
So the typical definition of an aparthotel is a residential complex that has hotel services. So for us, that can mean, a block of flats that has 20 units, 50 units. And what we do is we put in hotel services that every guest around the world would expect. Something as basic as a 24-hour reception, daily housekeeping, excellent internet, crisp, hotel-grade linen, and those are the touches that we put in, and that's what defines an aparthotel.
So how is it different from, can we call it old school hotels?
So your typical hotels are built to be hotels. The rooms are small. You may have slightly larger rooms as suites or presidential suites, but typically hotel rooms are much smaller with larger, common areas. So, they might have big foyers, massive boardrooms, big food and beverage or dining areas. Whereas your typical aparthotel doesn't have those spaces. And in some cases, won't have any food and beverage on site. So that's typically the biggest difference between your generic hotel and your aparthotel.
Well, I know they've been common in Europe for a long time. So when did this concept come to South Africa?
So it has been a trend and a sector that's been around for a while. It's been called different things in the States, in Europe. In 2014, at the end of 2014, when we had started the business, we started looking around because obviously we started as a hospitality brand first. And in 2015, we got the opportunity to look at a building that had 3 empty floors. It was a residential block here in Sea Point in Cape Town. I'm actually looking at it across the road from our office. So it's a nice reminder of where we started. And the developer had 3 empty floors, didn't know what to do with it. We looked around at what types of concepts there were. We were already running, luxury villas, serviced apartments, penthouse units. And we looked at these and said to them, well, why don't we bring the aparthotel concept? And they looked at us and went, what's an aparthotel? And we said, well, we want to run it like a hotel. We don't just want 21 serviced apartments with no brand, with no, we wanted to treat it like a product. And we had traveled quite extensively and thought it's opportune, in Cape Town to have something like this. You had so many generic hotels that, hadn't changed over the last 25 years. But we wanted a fresh take on it. So we identified that building as our first landmark, and the developer and owner said, great, we'll let you run with it. And that was the first aparthotel that we opened here in Sea Point.
So what are some of the criticisms from the hotel industry against aparthotels? Because I saw some articles where people say, well, no, they just glorified Airbnbs.
So I think the big thing is that the typical, hoteliers and big hotel brands are concerned that it's eating up their stock. That they're losing market share in terms of where guests are booking. Also, guests' preferences have changed over the years, especially with COVID. So I think the main thing for them is that they are, obviously concerned that the quality and the regulations that they have to go through for the hotels doesn't exist on the aparthotel side. The main thing for us is that we try follow a global standard in terms of how we offer our guests experience. And obviously the quality and fittings in the aparthotels themselves. So following that standard allows us to be, at the same level as our counterparts in Europe and the US and across the globe. We feel that the sector is only growing, whereas the traditional hotel line is kind of pretty stagnant and plateauing.
Are they more expensive, or where do they fit benchmark against traditional hotels?
So there's obviously different levels. You're going to get your budget friendly, you're going to get your middle tier, and then of course there's the luxury tier. And we have that within our own portfolio. We have a wide variety of options that our guests can choose from, and that ranges from price as well as the facilities and amenities that you would get on site. For example, our first Aparthotel had nothing. It had a 24-hour front desk and 21 apartments, and that was it. And it was hugely successful. It ran at 85% occupancy in its first year. But on the flip side, our more recent addition, which was the Latitude Aparthotel in Sea Point, had quite a number of facilities, including a rooftop restaurant, a boardroom, co-working facilities. They've recently put in a podcast studio. It's got 2 pools on the rooftop. So that really now competes head on head with any other hotel that exists in Cape Town. And you can see the balance for guests is that they can pick, they can decide if they want more privacy and less of the common area spaces. They would pick properties that don't have those, typically similar to something like our Casa products, which offer hotel services in a residential complex.
Couldn't help picking up podcast studio. Is that a request nowadays?
Well, look, I think it has become, and it's also a great value add for guys who travel for work and run their own podcasts, as well as businesses that exist here in Cape Town or in Joburg. Having the podcast studio has been a nice addition. It brings a whole new set of guests as well. So I'm all for it. Anything that adds value to our guests and to our product, if it makes sense, we'll test it out.
So what about the social aspect of hotels? So some people would say, but I like going to a hotel. It's vibey and it's busy.
So I guess you'll always get different guests with different preferences. The nice thing is that as we scale and as we take on new product, each property is different. For example, we are going to be launching a new Aparthotel in Devadekant in February next year. And that's got quite a wide variety of large communal spaces, as well as multiple restaurants, indoor pool, gym, etc. So, for the people who want those things, we'll have that in our portfolio. And then, typically the guys who will never get out of the hotel side will stay there. And one day, I guess we'll test out an Aparthotel.
Give us a rundown of what you have in your portfolio. You've mentioned a couple.
So we've got quite a wide variety. There's over 30 properties. We've got 12 Aparthotels. The Aparthotels, as I said, range that we've got in Cape Town. We opened up last year in Johannesburg, in Sunninghill. More recently this year in Pretoria and Linwood with the Circo Aparthotel. We've got the Archer, as I said, in Sunninghill, our Casa products, which is 3 buildings here in Sea Point and Bantry Bay. We opened up at the beginning of the year, which has been hugely successful, the Newton Speak Aparthotel. We also recently took over the old Bantry All Suites. The name's extremely long-winded, which we've changed. That used to be an existing hotel that's been around for almost 30 years. And we've converted that into an Aparthotel, and next year it will go through a complete revamp. We've got the Carrington and the Tokyo in the CBD. And there's more to come, as I said, in Devadekant and quite a number of new properties in the pipeline as well.
So do you think the popularity of these are going to increase?
I don't think it's stopping. And I guess we wouldn't be chatting if it was. But I think that the opportunity for us, especially as a hospitality brand, to focus on this sector specifically and become the leader in the Aparthotel sector is quite important. Like I said, there are competitors overseas with much larger portfolios that have proven the success of this model. And I don't see it going anywhere. In fact, I assume that there might be quite a bit of consolidation, with the larger hotel, the hotel groups, which has already happened, buying up, businesses that effectively then add value to their portfolios. I'm extremely bullish on the sector. as it stands.
So what have you found of these nomads, these digital nomads? Are they booking themselves into your aparthotels?
Yeah. So like I said, places like Latitude have specific co-working, as well as, our property in Sunninghill has a massive co-working section. It has become a huge part of a subsector of travelers. We've got private desks in the rooms for people to work with, as I said, excellent fiber internet so that they've got connectivity throughout, which is free. We don't charge anyone for internet usage. It's uncapped and you can use as you want. I think it's important because there are a lot of travelers, specifically digital nomads, that are testing out different cities and not committing to one. Cape Town happens to be a fantastic node because you can come in and work, you can enjoy the winelands, you can go shark cage diving, you can go to some of the best beaches in the world, as well as some of the best, sightseeing spots. So I don't see that slowing down. As far as digital nomads are concerned, I foresee that there will be thousands more that will come and test Cape Town out for 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. That's not going to slow down.
Yeah, I know one that rents out his flat in London and comes for 6 weeks over January and December. So it's definitely a thing for digital nomads. What about the safety aspect? Because that's the first question that international tourists would ask you.
Look, I think everyone has to be cognizant that, safety is a concern in any major city in the world. And the larger the city, the larger the problem. South Africa is no different. Cape Town, I think, is in a smaller bubble where the Western Cape, has initiatives to try and better itself. We'll never get away from having crime. I think people just need to be aware that, they can't walk the streets with their cameras around their necks and their laptop bags sticking out. But, at the properties, there's 24-hour security, there's CCTV. We're very jacked up and we take security very seriously at every single property that we manage.
And with the issue of electricity, constant source of power is definitely very important for overseas guests.
Well, look, I think the reality is set in over the last couple of years where it wasn't a huge problem. It was, kind of a murmur in the background. It's become a massive problem. Most of the new buildings have generators, full diesel generators. Most of the apartments are kitted out with inverters. Those that aren't, we've arranged backup little UPSs to ensure that the internet and the lights stay on. It's my hope that changes. I don't foresee it changing anytime soon. I think the sooner the private sector takes it into their own hands, the better, because it can't continue. I think the more it happens and the more it's played on by the media, the worse the problem becomes, for anyone looking, because why would you want to travel to a place that doesn't have electricity? We went through the same thing with the water crisis. Why would you want to travel to a place that's limited on water usage? So I think the more we put in measures that we can, the more we can assure travelers that they won't even feel the effect. If you're sitting at one of our pod hotels, most of the time they've got a 24/7 generator that's ready to kick in, and you won't even notice that the lights are off. So, yeah, we hope that things get better. But
are you on all the websites where you would, if I want to look for something and I go and Google it, will I find you?
So we're very good at that. Organically, we are, ranked first in most cases for all of our properties. You can find us on all the largest OTA channels in the world. We're a hotel chain on Booking.com. We're on Airbnb, Expedia, Agoda. And we deal with a ton of tour operators and direct agents. Totalstay itself is the second largest producer of bookings in our own portfolio. So we've got a massive amount of return guests that come back every single year. You can find us pretty much anywhere.
On Airbnb as well, did you say?
Yeah.
Just about tourism in Cape Town. So what have you found? You've gone through the COVID period as well, so probably aparthotels were more popular then because people once didn't want to be close to other people. What did you find? Has tourism picked up in South Africa and more specifically in Cape Town?
Look, I think you identified something quite interesting. COVID was a very probably a very big turning point in our business, where most of the generic hotels shut their doors, and I mean physically shut their doors. We remained open at 90 to 100% occupancy. This is the biggest fallback for the aparthotels, is that they are apartments. At the end of the day, somebody can stay there for one night, or they can stay there for 1 year if they choose. Again, the extended stay has become a massive, massive thing now, where before we generally used to deal with 1 to 21 nights. Our average, length of stay now is 4 to 5 nights. So it's fantastic to see. And it's incredible that we can offer that flexibility. And somebody genuinely can stay for months on end, because of course they've got full kitchen, they've got bedrooms, they've got a lounge, so they can stay in what they would consider a home. And that is the biggest difference between a hotel and an aparthotel, is that it's very home-like.
And generally in Cape Town, has it picked up tourism?
Cape Town's tourism has gone through the roof. Last year, I saw it as a bit of an anomaly. I think post-COVID, there was a massive bubble that was waiting to just burst, and people were, crazy about traveling. And Cape Town obviously is a tourist destination. So last year's numbers were staggering. This year, I mean, the Western Cape has seen also some incredible growth. I think the one figure I saw was, that alone in the Western Cape, visitors were up something by 16%, which is fantastic to see. Airport arrivals up by 104%. So we're seeing a very healthy, buoyant tourist market. And that's both international and local.
Rael Phillips, thank you so much.
Linda, thanks. Thanks for having me.